So over the last couple weeks, I've been taking us through a series on trusting God. And in the first part of it, we learned that trusting God shouldn't be a last resort. Then last week, we looked at trusting God and we talked about how it means actually relying or believing in His grand vision. Well, today I want to bring this series to a close and talk about trusting God and how that means relying on His power and not ours. Hey there, everybody. My name is Joyce Omondi Waihiga. Welcome to CITAM Church Online. So we're continuing with the story of Gideon, and at this point we're now in chapter 7 of the book of Judges, and it's gone from him, having these series of tests to really ask God, are you sure? Am I the right person? I'm not qualified, and all of these other stories, to now he's finally ready for action, and he's finally ready to go forth and be used of God. But now it seems God actually has other plans from what Gideon had envisioned. And in Judges chapter 7 verse 2, it says that the Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many people for me to hand the Midianites over to you, or else Israel might brag, I did it myself." Interesting. It's like God already anticipated that. In many ways, Gideon was looking at the size of his army, the strength of his men, all the tactics, and the plans, the strategies that they had rehearsed to be able to deliver them victory. And so what God does is that He actually sets on a series of tests that would really shrink Gideon's great army. And the first test shaved off 22,000 men, leaving him now with 10,000 men. But God still says, you know what, that's still too many. And so He gives him a second test, and He tells Gideon to lead his men down to the water. And He says, pick the ones who actually drink the water with their hands and not lap it up like a dog. And you can imagine Gideon's stress at this point. Like, first of all, what sort of test is this one? We're going into battle. Why does it matter how someone drinks their water? But of course, God is God. And indeed, after that test, from 10,000, He then has to shave off 9,700. And Gideon is down to 300 men. That's a fraction of what he had begun with, at over 30,000 men. And I think many of us, this story should really relate to us, because I think so many times we actually are the same. We choose to rely on our financial muscle, on our academic papers, on the connections that we have and the people that we know, and on our experience. And yet God is saying, shave all of those things off, put them aside. I don't need them. And it's because He knows that we're very susceptible to actually begin to take pride for ourselves. And so here we see that Gideon actually obeys the Lord, and because of it, he ends up with what looks like a very small army. The Midianites were like 135,000 men. At this point, Gideon has 300 men going into battle with these guys. That's like a ratio of, for every one Israelite warrior or soldier, there were 450 Midianites. And remember, these are the same people that have been plundering them all the way through. It must have been absolutely scary. And it's so funny that the people that God chose are the ones who were drinking water nicely. All of this goes to show us that indeed God can take impossible situations to us and actually use them to demonstrate His strength, His might, His power, and ultimately for Him to take glory. That's what He specializes in. It's why Luke chapter 18 verse 27 says, "What is impossible with men is possible with God." And so a reminder to all of us, I don't know what it is that you've been relying on in this process, in your journey of trusting God. And hopefully also this season has shown us that all of those things are futile. Right? All of us have been affected in some way or another in this season. Again, showing that all of these things that we continually rely on are futile. And if we are apart from God, if we are away from God, then we truly would be consumed by the Midianite armies of the world today. And God is looking for us to be fully dependent on Him, not to look at our muscle, not to look at our size, not to look at our strength, our money, our resources, whatever it is, but to fully fix our eyes on Him. He wants to partner with us in doing His will, but the way to do that is for us to be fully submitted and surrendered. It's not coming with a plan B. It's not coming with our own suggestions and our own timings of how things should work. It is about fully relying and trusting in His power and not ours. I really do hope that today's lesson and this whole series as a whole on trusting God has been of encouragement to you. And whatever situation it is that you're facing, I pray that you would be reminded that indeed God is there for us and He's bigger than all of the different challenges and situations we may face. May we be found faithful to trust in Him always. Do send in your feedback on this lesson as well to @CITAM Church Online on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Be sure as well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, God bless you and have a wonderful rest of the week.